Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are when you're watching this. And welcome, guys, to our sixth video in our affordable housing series. And this is the last video, guys. So if you've missed the previous ones that we've done, please make sure that you go back, take a look for them, and take a look. We've kind of been talking about the process of getting into home ownership, some of the affordable housing programs that exist. And we're going to be sharing additional resources as well for you all that you can, tap into. One of the things that we did not share in some of our previous videos that we'll make sure that we get linked out and sent, and posted onto our pages. I'm not, if you're watching this on from one of our pages, about how you can find down payment assistance. We are a resource for down payment assistance options, and we'll make sure that we get that information shared. But today we're going to be talking about your path, your personalized path to home ownership. Again, my name is Corwin J. Millett. I'm the broker and owner of Exit Realty, Low Country Group here in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. Radio host, public speaker, developer, contractor. I mean, the list is we do a lot, but we're here to serve and help people. So guys, please make sure that you connect and tap in, and you'll have my contact information at the end of this presentation on today. So today we're going to kind of get into your path. I've said repeatedly that everyone's path to homeownership differs, the journey, the destination differs. Everyone isn't buying the same house. Some guys, some people, some of you are looking for, 1,200, 1,500 square foot houses. Some of you are looking for 3,000, 4,000 square foot houses. It varies, right? So because of that, the journey may look different. All right. So we're going to touch and talk on some of those things on today. Again, this is a culmination of things that we've been talking about, and I'm going to bring it all in succinctly as quickly as possible, get to a couple of real life scenarios, and then we'll wrap up. So I intend to be brief, but efficient, if you will, with your time on today. So we've really focused on telling you what goes into it, making sure that you're ready, making sure that you're prepared. So if you're at this junction in our series, that means you've done some of the work. All right. That means that you've attended the workshops that we've done. You've taken a look at some of the programs. You've reached out to us or to me to get more information, and you've gained an understanding of what it'll take for you to qualify. All right. And that right there is when it is time to really dial in and focus and move forward. Again, this is when it is all about you. So people get stuck, learning too much. There's such a thing as information overload, right? You receive so much information, you don't know the application, you don't know when something is applicable, when it is, and in turn you freeze, you get stuck, right? So you come to these workshops, you read articles, you're watching TikToks and Zoom, and I'm a Zoom TikToks and things. I'm gonna tell you now, please be mindful and careful, with that, and make sure you're vetting the information or contacting the person directly to verify the information is applicable. Maybe somebody's doing something in another state, it's on TikTok, you see it, and it is not applicable because you can't do it in South Carolina. See that stuff all the time. So you research, you think about it, all those things, and you start to weigh out all the pros and the cons. And many people start waiting, quote unquote, in theory, for the perfect moment, the right moment, the sign, if you will, that comes down and says, hey, this is what you should be doing, and you should be doing it now, right? And that's where people get stuck, because those things don't always exist. So the goal is not to give you necessarily more information, but to make sure you have clarification. That's the real goal. At this point, you have more than enough information. Now you need clarity. You need to understand how you fit into this big picture, where you are, where you stand in this entire scenario, where you stand in this space. All right. So clarity and a plan. What is your next step? So again, everyone's situation is different. Income, credit, and your goals. Income levels, where you get your money from, how often you're paid, are you 1099 or your W-2? All those things will affect what you qualify, and in turn, what you can buy. Credit, similar. Credit scores high or lower, will all define or give you access to certain types of programs depending upon things you may qualify for and things you may not. And obviously, not everyone is looking to buy at the same time period, the same location, or the same type of home. So, again, what we're doing, real strategies is what we're going to talk about, and real next steps, what you should be doing next. All right. So, first scenario we're going to kind of touch on is that general first time home buyer, right? One of the most common profiles of buyer that I work with. They're typically someone who is very motivated, oftentimes very nervous. They're afraid because they don't know, they don't want to make the wrong move, they make a mistake. Sometimes they're working with limited, savings and credit, and they may be working on improving those particular, items. And then, but there's good news in all of that, right? Because there's programs that are built specifically for these types of buyers. Maybe you're a buyer with moderate or low income. I literally just looking at a chart here a few moments ago that for one of the 100% financing programs, and is income based, and the income cap for one of the programs, for a family of four, all the way down to a family of one, is 80 something $1,000. So if you make less than that, you'd qualify for something like that, right? And that is considered to be a low income, as defined from that chart. Now, some people don't think that's low income, but that is a category, and many people will probably qualify from that. Maybe you got limited savings, money for a down payment. Again, 100% financing options would give you an option that you would not have had otherwise. All right. Credit score, maybe got a credit score in the 600s. Hey, same thing. Opportunities exist. And first time home buyer, haven't owned a home before. Maybe that's such a situation, right? So there are down payment assistance programs, and I'm gonna drop it here as a teaser. Okay. Again, we'll share this information otherwise. But you can go to our down payment assistance program site, which is nopaymentsc.com. That is nopaymentsc.com. NOPAYMENT for South Carolina.com. Clip it. So your FHA loans with lower credit score requirements, you can leverage and put down payment assistance oftentimes on top of those types of programs. And obviously looking at, entry level homes in a more affordable or attainable price range is going to help you as well. So if you're a first time home buyer, this is the things, and those are the things that you should know. All right. So remember this, the right program stacked together. First time home buyer can often get into a home with little to no out of pocket expense. Clip it. So next buyer, maybe this is you. If the first time home buyer wasn't you, right? The budget focused buyer. Some buyers, look, you've done, been calculating, you're using the calculators that you see online, or you're, seeing something go by you and says a payment will be this or whatever, and you're looking like, oh my gosh. So you don't know exactly what you can afford, right? The information that you may be taking a look at may or may not be accurate, or may not be reflective of the market that you're in or what you would qualify for. All right. Regardless, if you've budgeted, you know where you want to be at, you're committed to staying within that price range. The key is to find the right type of property, right home, right location, to make the most out of the budget that you've assigned to your purchase. Because you don't want to lose yourself. You don't want to go beyond. You don't want to overextend yourself. You don't want to sacrifice, if you will, in that particular arena. You don't want to feel like you settled. Your situation, you have a strong desire to stay under a certain price range. Maybe it's $250,000. You're pretty flexible on location, neighborhoods, and all those kind of things, because you understand that you might need to do that in order to achieve home ownership based upon the budget that you've assigned. And you're open to non-traditional housing types as well. The possible path forward to you could be manufactured housing. Gives you an affordable and quality option in many markets, more so than what you might find with traditional site built, possibly. You can do a land home package with that, which may give you a better long-term value. And then you can do infill possibly in growth neighborhoods or areas where growth is coming, where prices may not have gotten to a place where they're unaffordable or unattainable. Being flexible on location can significantly expand what's possible if you feel you're working with a smaller or more stringent or more restrictive budget. If you feel that way, again, flexibility on your location is going to be key to giving you more options and more opportunity. Clip it. So, to the buyer who needs assistance, yes, maybe this is you. Maybe you weren't the first time home buyer. Maybe you weren't the budget conscious buyer. Buyer in this profile tends to be motivated and is capable of owning a home. Sometimes that ain't for me and all this other stuff. Sometimes the upfront cost of home ownership may feel like you're bumping up against a wall. All right. So between what you need for down payment, closing costs, reserves, oftentimes home ownership may feel a little bit more out of reach or situation. Maybe you again have very limited upfront cash. You're unsure about what you need to do to qualify, and you're concerned about those expenses that you may have up front. Let me tell you what this could look like. Here's your possible path forward. Layered assistance, stacking multiple down payment assistance programs, subsidies, or whatever on particular options that you may qualify, kind of layering those things in could help. Other grants, forgivable loans, some of these programs offer this as well. They don't require a repayment, again, subsidy, etc. Again, stacking or layering those things in, that is going to give you a path forward that you may not know of or be able to see at this junction. So this buyer often discovers that they can close on a home with significantly less cash than what they may have expected. And that's huge. So the next buyer is the one who needs more work, needs a little bit more preparation. So not everyone is ready to buy today. Maybe that's you. Maybe it's not. If it is, it's okay. All right. Most home buyers start their home ownership journey at least 3 years before they actually get to home ownership. And starting the journey looks different for everyone. So again, most home buyers start their journey roughly 3 years before they actually get there, 36 months. And that start sometimes looks like, hey, you know what? I think I want to own a home. Then they start looking at their credit. Then they start, okay, look, I want to get a better job. They kind of start getting things in order. So maybe your credit situation needs some improvement. Maybe you got higher debt to income ratios. Maybe you have higher debt. I just about finished paying my car off and I want to wait until I pay my car off. And I'm going to pay my car off in the next year, maybe two. And I'm going to kind of get that out of my debt ratio. That'll help me qualify for more of a home. Maybe just not ready, I'm just right there, but I want to get here. And it's okay. But be mindful of, again, what waiting could do. We've talked about that as well. So your possible path forward for this buyer, if you're this buyer, is to make a 30 to 90-day action plan. This is what I'm going to work on. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be specific. I'm going to pay this credit card down to this. It'll help get my credit score up. Be specific in that. Making adjustments here, disputing errors that may be on your credit report, reducing your utilization is going to be key to helping you get over the hurdle. Understand your debt, get your payoffs or pay downs done to targeted areas so you can get a targeted number so you can get the best bang for your buck as far as the return or increase in your credit score. Buyers who prepare themselves intentionally are often ready much sooner than what they have expected. So if that's you, then let's get to work. So all these scenarios have, in general, these things in common, right? All the situations are different, but all have the same components. One, got to understand your numbers, your income, your credit, what your debt looks like. And by debt, not the total amount of debt, but what your monthly payments are towards debt, car payment, loan payments, the revolving debt that you have. Make sure you're pulling together. And some people don't like the B word, but pull together a budget and kind of figure that out. What does home ownership look? You're paying rent now. That's a good rule of thumb. Usually within a tolerance of that, you can afford in home ownership. Most people don't go from $1,000 a month in rent, if you can even find $1,000 a month in rent, but from that to $2,000 a month in a mortgage payment, unless there's been something significant or they've been purposefully underspending in rent because they wanted to achieve home ownership. Next up is looking for what you qualify for as far as programs. Maybe you qualify for down payment assistance, what loan options, if there's any grants or anything that you may qualify for, what are all those things? So you start matching yourself up or working to align yourself with what you may qualify for. And the last part is just putting an entire package together, which is a strategy once you have those two bits and pieces of information. So here's where this really gets real. Again, you have the information, and the information is not going to take you all the way through. The action does. So what's the plan? How are you going to implement it? So at some point, the information that you've gathered has to lead itself or give way to actual action. And action starts with one thing, which is the plan that you built specifically around your situation. All right. So guidance matters in this process. You know, to be very blunt about it, it's extremely overwhelming when you're trying to do it. I've bought 2 homes, and having guided people through that process has made it easier when it's come time for me to look or explore, other financing opportunities. Actually, I've bought more, but done loans on. And where I'm going with that is that you need a Sherpa, you need a guide. So there are a lot of options out there. And sometimes people want to come to you when they want to, okay, I make this, I qualify for this, I qualify for this, and they want to give you all this stuff, but it may be something they qualify for they didn't know about. And if you're so zoned or honed in to this particular thing when you walk in the door, you may have missed a better opportunity. It's kind of like going to the ice cream shop and you love butter pecan ice cream, and you go in and and you love chocolate and you love whatever flavors, and you go in there out of butter pecan, and because you were so zoned in on just butter pecan ice cream, you missed out on a flavor they have that's a combination of all the things that you love. Imagine that, right? Because you were so honed in, you didn't want to look at anything else. So understand there's multiple options, there's multiple programs, there's different paths. The right guidance is going to help you to overcome and navigate that field, that selection process a whole lot easier. It's going to help you simplify the process. So here's what I do for my buyers. My role as an agent, our role as agents within my company, our team here, we're beyond just helping you find a house. We act as your guide and walk you through, help you find options, and more importantly, discuss with you the various things that you may not be considering so that you can make an informed decision. We help you understand your options. We connect you with the right resources, and then we help you build and execute a strategy that fits your situation. So buyer consultation looks like a review of your income. We'll talk about your income sources, how long you've been on the job, so the stability, how that impacts and affects your buying power. We'll talk about your credit, look at and talk about where it is currently. And, if there's anything that, you may need to do, we'll talk about that as well. So you can have that information kind of check as you go into the application process, for a mortgage. We'll discuss your goals. Where is it that you want to be? What are the must-haves in the house, the timeline, all those kind of things. And then we'll package it all together, helping you to identify the best options based on everything that we would have talked about in that consultation. It'll give you a realistic and a strategy on how to move forward. So here's what you need to bring or be prepared to discuss. If you don't bring it on paper, be prepared to discuss it, know what it is. You don't necessarily need to bring this big old stack of paperwork. So now I need to bring. No, you need to have a sense of your financial picture, what it looks like. So we're going to talk again about your income, your credit, your monthly debt. I'm going to ask you about your car payment, credit card payments, student loan payments, all those things that are revolving, to make sure that we have a picture of what your financial situation looks like. We're going to discuss your goals. What kind of home do you want? Where do you want to be? The timeline that you want to be there. And we're going to start to lay out and throw out options. And as we lay out and throw those options on the table, you get to discern once everything is on the table, but just understand as we get through certain aspects and certain things may or may not fit your big picture. So we'll see what does and kind of put those ideas, those sparks, if you will, into the atmosphere to say, hey, you may be able to do this. So here's what to expect. All right. Here's what to expect. No pressure, no obligation. Guys, we're not high pressure sales. I'm not, my team is not high pressure sales. Do we want you to achieve home ownership if that's what you want to do? Yes. Are we going to work faithfully, diligently, and intentionally to help you do so? Yes. The consultation is an upfront experience designed to serve you, not to sell you. Remember that you're in control. It is your process, not ours. So it's going to be relaxed and conversational. I like to have fun. I like to make home ownership as easy and undaunting as possible. I've always said that, the home buying experience is really like a roller coaster. And, sometimes people strap themselves in, they have this calm, this build up, and then, and it's all this excitement, all these twists and turns. And we work to level that out. We want you on a kiddie coaster, not, one of them big ones they got down in Orlando at Disney or Island of Adventure or something. We don't want you on something like that. We want you to have a more of a kiddie experience where you may have some, easy ups and easy downs, but nothing so exhilarating or overwhelming that, you stop breathing. All right. It's going to be focused and productive. We'll talk about what matters and we'll get to know each other. I want you to leave the experience, the consultation with clarity. This is what we're going to do next. Not necessarily a fully built out to-do list, but this is an overview of the entire process. Here's our next step. And then we'll do that. And then, okay, here's our next step. So we can walk through it intentionally, understanding that you control the pace, you control what the outcome is. What we can help you to estimate. One of the most common questions that buyers have is, well, how much can I qualify for? Well, during our consultation, we'll help you get a realistic picture of that. It's not a guaranteed number. That doesn't come into play until we get really into a full application or through a full application, which is where credit is verified, income is verified, et cetera, and in your debt, so we can get to that actual number. But we'll have an overview of that to get to what could be a meaningful range for you to consider, what you may qualify for. It'll be based on your income, based on kind of what you think your credit is, and be a range that will help you to decide the general direction that you might want to go. Again, you'll not be making any decisions during that consultation. Again, just an estimate to help you guide your next step. So the pre-approval process would be next up. And this is what you need to know. It's important that you understand, what we do, but also what the lender does. Again, our consultation is for strategy. The pre-approval process is that formal financial review. They both matter. They both go together. They are coupled. So here's how it works. Our consultation will lead you into your pre-approval. Think of the consultation as the pre-game. That's what it is. Okay, boom. Okay. I'm ready. All right, let's go. It's the pre-game. So that next step will get you to where you're actually doing the application with the lender and walking through and walking in confidence into your initial phases of home ownership. So our role in the process is relatively easy. And I say easy because we want to make it, we don't want to make it threatening because it's not. We're your strategic partner. We're the coach. We're the quarterback. Wherever you need us on the field, that's where we are. We're here to help you move the ball. We're not just a transaction facilitator. Our job is to make sure that you understand every step and have access to all the options that we can come up with and that we can vet and source and find for you so you feel confident in your steps. We're here to provide you insight, to help you understand those options, the strategy to build the right approach, and the confidence for you to step forward through the process. The biggest mistake buyers make, biggest mistake, trying to figure it all out themselves. Everybody is a DIYer, right? How to do this? Look here. If you don't drop a transmission out your car every week, yes, you can go on YouTube. Yes, you can go on Instagram. Yes, you can get a book and figure out how to do it. But I'm fairly positive that if you don't and have not done that before, more than likely, it's going to take you longer to do it than somebody who does it all the time. Fair? You wouldn't perform surgery on yourself unless it was an absolute positively an emergency. You wouldn't cut your leg off unless something was happening. Make sense? Where I'm going with this is don't go it alone. I know you can look and read and this and that, but you don't understand it unless you're doing it. So you don't want the mistake of doing all this research and researching and trying to do things that are not allowable in the area, state, or whatever, or don't fit what you're actually doing. You'll keep second guessing. You'll keep digging yourself into a home. Real estate, guys, and when real estate hesitation will cost you because prices change, programs change, opportunities go away. The longer you wait without a strategy, the harder it becomes. So the biggest mistake, again, those delays, those missed opportunities, wrong assumptions. Case in point, the state housing Palmetto Heroes program is open from the date they start, whenever that is, until they run out of money, then it closes for the rest of the year. The program is closed for the rest of the year, that money is gone. So if you didn't act during that time period, oh, I'll wait till later, then you missed the opportunity. Don't do that. Don't assume that just because a program is there today and there's funding and money available, that it'll be there tomorrow. Act when the opportunity presents itself. Don't go it alone, guys. You need guidance, you need help. So make sure that you're attacking and backing and attaching to someone who can help you achieve the goals of home ownership. Clip that. So, next step is scheduling your consultation. Again, you don't need a perfect credit score. You don't need a large down payment. You don't need absolute certainty. You need to get yourself to a consultation. If you're worried about, people go screen themselves for, particular, diseases or because they have a family history, right? And they do it in advance. So a consultation is your opportunity to screen yourself in advance. Schedule a consultation. So book that one-on-one session with us. Prefer to do it in person, but we can schedule virtually if that works better and best for you. And because in person you're able to get more information and have a more clear and concise conversation. Review your situation. Again, we'll take a look at the income and we'll build that plan. Most consultations take less than an hour. And my buyers are consistently leaving me saying they wish they would have done it sooner. So the next step, get clarity, understand the options. Let's start moving forward. So we're going to get you to scheduling here in a moment. I want you to be ready to take a picture of this QR code or otherwise look for the link where you can reach out and contact us. You've got all this information. Now it's your decision, it's your time to decide what you want to do with it. A final thought for all of you who taken the time to watch this presentation, to be with us on today. You showed up, you learned. Now it's time to put the work in that most people never do. And to be very direct, that matters. Information without action is just potential, and potential doesn't put you in a home. Again, information without action is just potential, and potential does not put you in a home. Clip that. The question is whether you can own a home. The question is whether or not you're going to take the step that makes all those things happen. So, are you going to move forward or are you going to stay where you currently are? So, next step, guys, is simple. Contact me and let's get you scheduled. This is my QR code, takes you straight to my business card, my mobile site. Guys, you can text me, you can contact me, you can reach out to me here. You can go to our website, exitlowcountry.com/meeting and schedule a meeting with myself or one of our team. Please make sure that you reach out. Why? Because this is your time. I've served for years with a leader who would say that I was made for a time such as this. If you believe home ownership is for you, then maybe this is your call. Maybe this is your opportunity. Maybe this is your time that you was made for, that you was made for home ownership. So please make sure that you reach out and let us know how we can better assist and better serve you. I appreciate your time, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much.